Hey everyone, welcome back to True Dread. If you're new here, we bring you raw, allegedly true horror stories submitted by people just like you. The kind that make you rethink everyday routines most people take for granted. Today, we have 4 malicious, true public transport horror stories. Late-night buses, empty subway cars, and trains that should have been safe. These aren't ghost stories. These are encounters with real people who had malicious intent. Stories that prove sometimes the scariest thing on public transport isn't the dark tunnels or the screeching brakes, it's the other passengers. Stick around till the end for the 4th story. It's one of the most disturbing I've read in a while. If you've got your own experience, send it in. Let's get into it. I work security at an office building downtown. My shift ends at 1:30 a.m. most nights. The city bus system runs 24/7, so I usually catch the 1:45 bus that takes me most of the way home. It's usually pretty empty that late. A few tired workers, maybe someone who's been out too long. I've never felt unsafe until that one night. I boarded like normal. There were only 3 other people. An older lady near the front, a guy in a hoodie about halfway back, and me. I sat toward the back, put my earbuds in with no music. I like to stay aware, and closed my eyes for a bit. At the next few stops, the old lady got off. Then the hoodie guy stayed put. About 20 minutes into the ride, the bus made a regular stop. No one got on, but the driver announced something about a short delay. That's when I noticed the hoodie guy had moved. He was now only 2 seats in front of me, on the opposite side. He hadn't made a sound. I pretended not to notice, but my heart picked up. He kept glancing back at me in the reflection of the window. The bus started moving again. 2 more stops passed with no one else getting on or off. Then he turned fully around in his seat and just stared. No phone, no pretending, direct eye contact. I stared back, trying to look tough. He smiled, this slow, ugly smile, and mouthed something. I couldn't make it out perfectly, but it looked like, "You're next." I pulled the cord for the next stop immediately. As the bus slowed, he stood up too. The second the doors opened, I bolted. He was right behind me. I ran toward the well-lit gas station on the corner, but he kept pace. Maybe 20 feet back, not running full speed, just following with purpose. I made it inside the station, breathing hard, and told the clerk what was happening. The guy outside paced back and forth by the pumps, watching the door. He didn't come in. After about 10 minutes, a police car happened to pull in for coffee. The follower disappeared around the building when he saw the lights. The cops drove me the rest of the way home. They said they'd check the area, but I never heard anything. What really messed me up was the next night. Same bus route, same time. The same guy got on 2 stops after me. Same hoodie. He sat farther back this time, but I caught him watching. I got off at a different stop and took an Uber the rest of the way. I changed my entire schedule after that. But every now and then, late at night, I still check the bus windows for that smile. Billy says he never saw the man again after switching routes, but he still gets chills thinking about what "you're next" could have meant. Malicious intent on a near-empty bus. The kind of thing that makes you question every stranger. I was 24, heading home from a friend's birthday party in Brooklyn around 2 a.m. The trains were running, but it was that dead time where cars are mostly empty. I got on an R train and chose a car that had one other person, a woman who looked like she was heading home from work too. I felt safer that way. We rode for a couple stops. At the next station, the woman got off, and a group of 3 guys got on. They were loud, joking around, but something felt off. They spread out in the car instead of sitting together. One sat right across from me, another a few seats down, and the third stood by the door. I put my head down, scrolled on my phone, and tried to ignore them. Then the one across from me started talking. "You look nervous. Where you headed?" I didn't answer. He laughed. "It's cool, we're just chilling." His friends started moving closer. The train went into a tunnel. The lights flickered like they sometimes do. In that split second of near darkness, I felt a hand grab my wrist, hard. I yanked back and screamed. The guy laughed again. "Relax, I was just playing." But his grip left a mark. At the next stop, I tried to get off, but one of them blocked the door, casually. "Train's not done yet," he said with a smirk. The doors closed. I was trapped with them for at least 2 more stops. My heart was pounding. I texted my friend my location and help with the train number. They started whispering among themselves, glancing at me. The one who grabbed me pulled out a small knife, just flashed it, not waving it around, and said quietly, "You got any cash? Or we can take something else." I was terrified. Then, miracle of miracles, the train pulled into a bigger station with people on the platform. As soon as the doors opened, I shoved past the guy and ran out screaming for help. A couple of transit workers and some bystanders saw what was happening. The 3 guys stayed on the train, laughing as it pulled away. I filed a report. They showed me camera footage later. Those guys had done similar things before, targeting late-night widers, especially women alone. They got arrested a few weeks later for something else. But I still don't ride the subway alone after midnight. That malicious energy, the way they coordinated without saying much, it was planned. Sarah's story highlights how quickly a normal ride can turn into a coordinated trap.
Last year, I had a late-night chemistry lab that didn't end until around 11 p.m. To save money, I would take the midnight train home. It became a routine. The same platform, the same quiet ride, the same nearly empty carriage. Most nights, it was just me, my headphones, and the steady rhythm of the train moving through the dark. On one particular night, the station was completely empty. When the train arrived, I was the only person in my carriage. About 2 stops in, a man got on. He looked to be in his mid-30s, wearing a heavy dark coat that didn't make sense for the weather. What stood out wasn't just how he looked, it was where he chose to sit. Even though the entire carriage was empty, he walked all the way down and sat directly behind me. I felt it immediately, that subtle shift when something stops feeling normal. At first, it was just the sound of movement behind me, the creak of the seat, the slight adjustment of weight. Then I heard it, a slow, rhythmic tapping on the back of my seat. It wasn't random, it matched my breathing.
I took off my headphones, and the silence of the train suddenly felt heavy. Then he leaned forward, close enough that I could feel his breath on my neck. In a calm voice, he whispered my full name. Then, my dorm room number. He didn't hesitate. He didn't sound unsure. He sounded certain. My heart started pounding instantly. I stood up without saying anything and started walking toward the door between the train cars. As I moved, he stood up too, matching my pace perfectly. The train slowed from my stop. The doors opened, and I ran. I didn't stop moving until I reached the top of the escalator. When I finally looked back, he was standing at the bottom, perfectly still, looking straight at me, smiling. But there was nothing behind his eyes. I didn't go home that night.
I stayed in a 24-hour deli until morning. I never took that train again. Eventually, I dropped the class entirely. Because what stayed with me wasn't just what he said. It was the realization that he had been watching me long before that night.
It was finals week. I was exhausted, taking the last train out of the city at around 11:45 p.m. The car I chose had one other guy, older, maybe 50s, sitting at the far end. He had a bag and kept looking at his phone. Seemed normal. I sat midway, put headphones on, and tried to review notes. A few stops later, no one else got on. The train was basically empty except us. At one point, I looked up, and the guy had moved closer, now only a few rows away. He was staring directly at me. No phone now, just staring with this intense, unblinking look. I felt the hair on my neck stand up. I moved to another car through the connecting door. He followed a minute later. Same thing, sat closer each time. I changed cars twice more. Each time he followed, never saying a word, just that stare. On the fourth car, I was alone for a moment. I hit the emergency intercom and told the conductor someone was following and harassing me. The conductor said they'd check it out at the next stop. When the train slowed, I stood by the door. The guy appeared in the doorway between cars, bag in hand. He didn't try to hide anymore. He walked straight toward me and said in a low voice, "You shouldn't have done that." The doors opened. I ran onto the platform. He chased me, full sprint. I yelled for help. There were a couple security guards. They intercepted him. He fought them, screaming that I had something of his. In the struggle, his bag spilled. Inside were zip ties, duct tape, a knife, and women's clothing that wasn't his size. Police came. Turns out, he had a record for assaults on transit in other cities. He'd been riding lines looking for the last passenger, someone isolated. The malicious planning, waiting for the right quiet car, the slow approach, the tools in the bag. If I hadn't called it in when I did, or if the platform hadn't had people, I don't know how it ends. Alex says the guy is in prison now, but the memory of that stare on an empty train still wakes him up sometimes. Those were 4 malicious, true public transport horror stories. Stories that remind us vigilance matters, especially when you're tired or it's late. If these hit you, like the video, subscribe for more true dread content, and drop a comment with your thoughts or your own close calls. But keep it safe. Turn on notifications so you don't miss the next one. Thanks for watching. Stay safe out there, whether you're on the bus, the train, or just walking to your stop. This has been True Dread. Good night.